Hello. I suppose I should introduce myself, though I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing this. Talking to a camera at my age feels strange, but my youngest son suggested it might help. Help with what? I'm not sure. Maybe just to say it out loud. My name is Richard Bennett. I'm 78 years old. I've been alive for 78 years, and the brutal lesson I learned is this: time doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't give you warnings. And the people you love won't pause their lives until you figure yours out. I learned this too late, far too late. My wife Eleanor died 2 years ago. We were married for 51 years, and for most of those years, I operated under a very simple assumption that I never questioned, never even thought about really. I assumed she would always be there, not in some abstract way, but in the day-to-day sense. I assumed there would always be tomorrow to say the things I didn't say today. I assumed there would always be next week to do the things I was too busy to do this week. I assumed there would always be more time. That assumption destroyed me in ways I'm still discovering. When you're young, time feels infinite. Even when you're middle-aged, it still feels like there's plenty left. You tell yourself you'll get to things eventually. You'll take that trip eventually. You'll have those conversations eventually. You'll pay attention eventually. You'll be the person you mean to be eventually. And eventually becomes this magical word that lets you off the hook for right now. Oh, I used that word my entire marriage. Eleanor would ask me to take a walk with her in the evenings, and I would say, "I'm tired tonight. Maybe tomorrow." And tomorrow would come, and I'd find another reason. She would mention wanting to visit this little town she'd read about, and I'd say, "We'll go eventually. There's no rush." She would try to talk to me about something that mattered to her, something she was thinking about or feeling, and I'd be half listening because I was thinking about work or some project in the garage, and I'd tell myself I'd pay better attention next time. Next time, eventually, tomorrow, later. These were the words I lived by, and I never noticed that each time I used them, I was spending something I couldn't get back. We had routines, Eleanor and I. We ate dinner together every night. We watched television in the evenings. We went to church on Sundays. We visited our sons and their families. From the outside, I'm sure we looked fine. A normal couple, married for decades, comfortable with each other, and we were comfortable, maybe too comfortable. I had mistaken routine for presence. I had mistaken proximity for connection. There was a period, maybe 10 years before she got sick, when Eleanor started talking about things she wanted to do. She wanted to take a trip to Maine. She'd never been, and something about it called to her. The coast, the lighthouses, the small towns. She brought it up every few months. She'd show me pictures from magazines. She'd mention it casually, hopefully, and I'd say, "Sure, we should do that sometime." But I never made it happen. There was always something else. Work obligations, the house needing repairs, our sons needing help with something. Life, as I called it. Life kept getting in the way of living. She stopped mentioning Maine after a while. I noticed briefly and then forgot. There were other things. She wanted to learn to paint. She wanted to take a cooking class together, something Italian, she'd said. She wanted to spend a weekend at this bed and breakfast in the mountains. Small things, not extravagant, not demanding, just little desires for experiences, for connection, for something beyond the daily routine. And I treated them all the same way. We'll see. Maybe next year. Let's think about it. I thought I had time. That's the thing. I genuinely believed we had decades left. She was healthy. We both were. There was no reason to rush, no reason to disrupt the comfortable rhythm of our lives for things that could wait. My sons, they're both grown now, both in their 40s with families of their own. When they were younger, I did the same thing with them. I promised to teach them to fish, really teach them, not just take them once or twice. Eventually, I'd promised to help them with projects, to spend real time with them later. They'd ask me to play catch or help with homework, or just sit and talk, and I'd say, in a bit, I just need to finish this first. And then the bit would turn into an hour, and the hour would turn into evening, and evening would turn into bedtime. They stopped, asking after a while too. Children learn quickly when eventually means never. The brutal part of this lesson isn't just that I ran out of time. It's that I didn't know when I ran out. There's no bell that rings, no announcement. You don't get a notification that says, "This is the last time your wife will ask you to take a walk." You don't know that the last time she mentions Maine is actually the last time. You don't know that the conversation you're half listening to is the final one where she'll try to reach you in that particular way. Eleanor got sick quickly. Pancreatic cancer. By the time they found it, it was everywhere. She had 6 months. 6 months from diagnosis to death. And suddenly all that time I thought I had evaporated. All those eventualities came due at once, and I realized I had nothing left to pay with. I tried in those 6 months. I tried to be present. I tried to listen. I tried to make up for decades of later. But you can't compress a lifetime of connection into half a year. You can't suddenly become the person you should have been all along just because time has run out. She was gracious about it. She always was. But I could see in her eyes sometimes when I'd sit next to her hospital bed, trying to think of something meaningful to say, that it was too late. The person I was finally trying to be was someone she'd needed 30 years earlier. We never went to Maine. We never took that cooking class. She never learned to paint. All those small things she wanted, those little experiences that would have cost me nothing but time and attention, they just evaporated. They became things that could have been, but weren't. After she died, I found a box in her closet. Cards I'd given her over the years, birthday cards, anniversary cards. I sat down and read through them. Most of them were generic. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary. My signature. That's it. A few had a sentence or two, but nothing real. Nothing from the heart. 51 years of occasions, and I couldn't bring myself to write more than a generic sentiment and my name. She kept them all anyway. That's what breaks me now. Not that I failed to be who I should have been, but that she loved me anyway. That she kept hoping I'd eventually show up. That she saved those pathetic cards like they were treasures. She deserved so much more than what I gave her, and she never complained. She just quietly adjusted her expectations downward year after year until she expected almost nothing. And I gave her exactly that. Almost nothing. I see my sons now, and I see the same pattern. They're polite with me, dutiful. They call on my birthday and holidays. They invite me to things, but there's a distance there, and I know it's because I taught them that distance is what fathers do. I was never cruel. I was never absent in the dramatic sense. I was just not there. Not really. And now they're not really here either. We're all just going through motions, playing roles, being family in the technical sense, but not in any way that matters. The lesson is this: you don't get to wait until you're ready. You don't get to put people on pause while you figure yourself out or finish your tasks or get through your busy season. Life is happening right now, in this moment, with the people who are here. And they won't wait forever. They'll adjust. They'll stop asking. They'll move on emotionally, even if they're still there physically. And then one day, they'll be gone, and you'll be left with a house full of things you meant to do and words you meant to say. I'm 78 years old. I have maybe 10 years left, maybe fewer, and I finally understand that there is no eventually. There's only now. But I learned it too late to do anything with that knowledge. Eleanor is gone. My sons are who they are, and our relationship is what it is. I can't go back and pay attention when it mattered. I can't resurrect those thousands of moments I threw away because I thought there would be more. This is the brutal part. Not just that I was wrong, but that there's no fixing it, no second chance, no opportunity to apply this lesson to the people who mattered most. I understand now, sitting in this empty house, that every moment I postponed, every later I used, every time I prioritized comfort or work or distraction over connection, I was making a choice. I just didn't realize the choice was permanent. Time doesn't wait. People don't wait. And eventually you'll run out of both. I learned that. Finally, just 30 years too late.